WWE released its pay-per-view schedule for next year, and it was a newsworthy announcement for a few reasons. WrestleMania will once again be a two-night event, April 2nd and April 3rd, from AT&T Stadium in Dallas, where they set their all-time attendance record at WrestleMania 32. As someone who was at that WrestleMania and every one of them from 28 to 35, they all got progressively longer and harder to sit through. So if splitting it up over two nights means no more 7-hour WrestleManias in one night, then I think it's a good move. Two-night WrestleManias are likely going to be the norm going forward, which is a trend that New Japan started with its Wrestle Kingdom show last year. This January coming up, Wrestle Kingdom is actually moving to 3 nights, but only the first 2 are at the Tokyo Dome, and then night 3 is a few days later in a smaller building. There are Thursdays open in February and in October that are going to be the annual Saudi Arabia shows. So we don't know exactly what the dates or the names of those are going to be just yet. And like this year, there is no pay-per-view listed for the month of December, although that could change, at some point next year. But this is what the schedule looks like at this time. On January 1st, they're running their first ever New Year's Day pay-per-view in Atlanta called Day 1. And then later on in January, there's a second pay-per-view, that of course being the Royal Rumble, on January 29th from the Dome in St. Louis. I think they've already sold over 20,000 tickets for that show. I don't know if they're allotting for 30 or 40,000, probably be somewhere around 30-ish. April 2nd and 3rd, WrestleMania at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. May 8th will be a show in Providence, Rhode Island at the Dunkin' Donuts Center. June 5th, a show to be named at a later date from the Allstate Arena in Chicago. July 2nd is Money in the Bank at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. July 30th is Summerslam at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. September 3rd or 4th will be a show to be named at a city to be named later. More on that in a second. And November 26th will be Survivor Series from the TD Garden in Boston. So a few things to unpack here. The majority of those dates fall on a Saturday. 6 out of the 10 events, in fact, fall on a Saturday. So WWE is moving towards Saturday pay-per-views more and more. We knew Money in the Bank would be a stadium show for the first time. What we did not know is that for the first time ever, SummerSlam will happen in July and not August like it has every other year since the very first one in 1988. That makes 2 stadium shows for WWE in 1 month. And that means no SummerSlam from the UK for the 30th anniversary of the Wembley show in 1992. However, it does look like the UK is getting a stadium show over Labor Day weekend instead, either that Saturday or Sunday. Per The Observer, WWE met with officials for both Wembley Stadium and Cardiff's Millennium Stadium recently about a Labor Day weekend show. What makes this all very interesting is that Labor Day weekend is traditionally when AEW holds its all-out pay-per-view in Chicago, which is their biggest event of the year. And now, all of a sudden, WWE is running a pay-per-view on Labor Day weekend. That is not a coincidence. Even if the WWE show airs earlier in the day in the US and does not go head-to-head with AEW, which it may not, if they end up taking place on the same day, it's still a major pay-per-view to promote that weekend that could take some of the piss out of the AEW show. For me, I just hope they don't air on the same day, because I want to be able to stream live right after each show. And if they air the same day, like if the WWE show airs in the afternoon, and it literally goes right into the AEW pay-per-view, what was that, like 9 straight hours of wrestling? And here we are talking about 2 nights of WrestleMania, right? Thank God. No 7-hour WrestleMania in one night. I don't need 9 hours of WWE and AEW back-to-back on the same day. And I don't want to have to pick and choose which one I can, stream a review for. So for me personally, I am hoping that they do not air on the same day. Well, all of a sudden we have another competition here to see who books and produces the better show, which in the end will be good for the fans, again, so long as they don't air on the same day. But it's going to make for a very busy weekend. One thing I can say is that the UK audience is overdue for a major pay-per-view, and I'm glad they're finally getting one. With everything on Peacock now, time zone differences don't matter anymore. They just aired a Saudi Arabia show at noon on a Thursday. I don't want to hear about this time zone bullshit anymore. No more excuses. It's time for the UK to get their own pay-per-view. Not a lot of news on the AEW front this week. We've got 2 weeks until the Full Gear pay-per-view. Darby Allin against MJF is now official. Darby returned on Wednesday on Dynamite in the crowd, dressed up as the Invisible Man. I guess that was his Halloween costume, although he wears his Halloween costume on TV every week. He chased away MJF. He made the match official. The best thing on the show on Wednesday was the TBS title tournament match between Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida. And I thought that, they had a very good first match together on TV many weeks ago when Serena denied Shida her 50th AEW win. So this was the rematch, and Shida got her win back here. She did finally earn her 50th win, but I thought the match itself was excellent. They did a big injury angle when it was over with Serena attacking her and going after her knee. She clipped her knee. She put on the Serenity Lock. She was beating her down with a steel chair. I loved Serena paying homage to Bret the Hitman Hart. She was wearing the pink and black for her match. She used the figure 4 spot around the ring post. She borrowed the finish from the Bret Hart Davey Boy Smith match from Summerslam at Wembley Stadium. That is the second AEW star to pay tribute to the Hitman. CM Punk and actually third, I guess. CM Punk and Darby Allin both paid tribute to him in their match at All Out. It's nice to see him getting some love. But I wanted to mention an idea here because I got a message from Jordan. Shout out to Jordan D. Paola. He had proposed an idea, which is that Shida would be unable to compete for the remainder of the tournament after the injury angle they did on Wednesday. Nyla Rose already has a bye into the next round. So they would do a battle royal to determine who would face her, and Serena would win the battle royal, and then goes on to win the entire tournament. So you have the person who lost in the opening round found a way to win the entire thing, and then eventually it sets up a rematch with Serena defending the title against Shida. And I had thought about that, not the battle royal part, but I had thought about the idea that after what happened on TV this week, Shida might not be cleared to compete. And Serena is automatically inserted into the next round because just by virtue of Shida not being able to compete, even though Serena was responsible, she should then be the one to take that spot because the person who beat her can't go. So then Serena would go on to win the entire thing and win the championship because I had picked her originally to win the entire thing. So I guess I'm going to keep hope alive, see what they do on TV this week. I don't think it's a totally shut door yet on the idea that Serena Deeb could come out of this tournament as the new TBS Women's Champion. But if you missed that match, that to me it's right up there with the match we saw on Friday as the match of the week. Because on Friday on Rampage, we got Bryan Danielson against Eddie Kingston in a different tournament, the AEW World Title Men's Eliminator. And the two of them went out there and they had a great fucking match. Bryan, of course, got the win. I don't think anybody really was thinking that the outcome would be any different. But when the match was over, Bryan went to go shake hands with Eddie. Eddie left the ring instead, because he's a proud man. Obviously, he's not very happy about the fact that he passed out in a submission hold and denies the fact that he ever passed out. That was his argument. But it was a fantastic wrestling match. And as I said on Friday, Danielson's run of great matches continues in AEW. He has been perfect so far. He is finding different ways to win in every single match, trying to change things up just a little bit, not just do the same old shit, the same old finish to every match. No two matches that he has had so far are the same. And the match that he is going to have with Jon Moxley at Full Gear, and it will be Jon Moxley. Moxley still has to get past Orange Cassidy on TV this week. He will. And we're going to get Danielson and Mox in the finals at Full Gear, and that match is also going to be quite great. But they had a segment in the back after the match where CM Punk was being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and they were interrupted by this commotion. Eddie Kingston was in the back. He was ranting and raving and not very happy. And he looked over and saw what he perceived to be a smirk or a smile on the face of CM Punk, and he came over to confront him, and he had to be, taken away. So it looks like CM Punk has found an opponent for Full Gear. Now, they have 2 weeks to promote this match. They haven't made it official yet. 2 weeks is more than enough. The promos that we are probably going to get between these two men are going to be a lot of fun. And the idea that I floated on the stream on Friday night after Rampage, you do these singles matches. You do Bryan and Mox in the tournament finals at the pay-per-view. You do Punk one-on-one against Eddie Kingston. Punk has been very vocal about the fact that he wants to, at some point soon, work with Bryan Danielson. It has been a very, very long time since the two of them have worked together. Whether it's against each other, whether it's tag team partners, he wants to work with Danielson. And now we see the makings. It's taking shape. It's taking form of a potential tag team match coming out of the pay-per-view. Maybe if they do a big Winter is Coming type episode of Dynamite in December, where we could have as an attraction on TV CM Punk and Bryan Danielson together as tag team partners taking on Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, who by that point might be full on heels. But I think for sure I'd be shocked if we didn't get that tag team match at some point in the next couple of months. Punk and Danielson against Moxley and Kingston, I think, is coming.